You know, some crimes are so serious that the clock on justice never stops ticking. That's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at a source that makes this incredibly powerful case, arguing that for certain acts, there's just no expiration date on accountability.
Right away, the source drops us into a very specific time and place. It's Zaporizhzhia, February 1st, 2026. Now, this isn't just some random date on a calendar. Setting it in the future like this, well, it creates this really chilling feeling, like what's about to happen is just inevitable.
And then you get this line, wow, a strike on the place where life begins. I mean, think about that for a second. With just a handful of words, the source lays out its entire emotional and ethical argument. It's incredibly powerful.
Okay, so what exactly are we talking about here? What was this strike where life begins? Let's get into the specifics, because this one incident is the absolute core of the source's entire argument.
So the source describes a targeted drone strike on a maternity hospital. But here's the crucial part. The detail it really hammers home. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't collateral damage. The text is crystal clear that this was a conscious, deliberate choice of target.
So, after laying out what happened, the source pivots. It's not just about describing the event anymore. Now it starts to build a legal and a moral case, basically dissecting what it calls the anatomy of a war crime.
And the term it uses is a heavy one, a crime against humanity. According to the source, this isn't just about a single attack. No, it's defined as a conscious act that's trying to do two things at once: contribute to genocide and achieve total intimidation.
And the source really breaks down its argument step by step. First, you've got the target, literally the most vulnerable people you can think of. Then, there's the goal. This isn't just about blowing things up, it's about terrifying an entire population. And finally, the method. The source argues this isn't just a random, one-time thing, it's part of a systematic pattern.
So when you hear a systematic pattern, that points to something bigger, right? Something more sinister. The source's argument is that this isn't about winning on the battlefield. It's about using terror as a strategy.
Yeah, and that's the key here. According to the source, the rubble and the physical damage, that's only half the story. The real goal, the primary goal, is psychological. It's all about intentionally creating panic, despair, and fear among regular people. It's a direct attack on their will to go on.
And that's what this really drives home. The source is telling us, hey, don't look at this as just one horrible, isolated event. Instead, you have to see it as one piece of a much larger puzzle, a deliberate, calculated policy of destroying civilian life.
Okay, so the source has defined the act and laid out the strategy. What comes next? Well, it's all about accountability. And the text makes it clear that the idea of justice for these kinds of acts is nothing new. In fact, there's a very clear historical precedent for it.
And it does this by drawing a straight line through history, from the trials at Nuremberg right up to the modern court in The Hague. It's pointing to these massive historical moments to say, look, the framework for this kind of justice, it's already here. It's been built.
And to really hammer that point home, the source gives us a very blunt, very direct lesson from history. It says, war criminals always end up on the bench of the accused. That's not a maybe. In the source's view, it's not a hope, it's a historical certainty.
And this brings us right back to where we started. The whole idea is that there's a permanence to this. The source is crystal clear. For crimes of this magnitude, there is no statute of limitations. For every single person involved, from the general who gave the order to the pilot who carried it out, the question isn't if they'll face justice, it's just a matter of when and where.
And the source wraps up its entire case with this one final, incredibly powerful statement. Russia will answer for every ruined fate. That one sentence really says it all, doesn't it? It's the final word on where the source believes the responsibility lies.
So, there you have it. The source makes this unflinching case, weaving together emotion, legal arguments, and the sheer weight of history. It's convinced that justice, in the end, will find a way. And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about, right? With everything going on in the world today, in the chaos of modern conflicts, does that historical promise of justice still hold up?